My first opinion is, some of y'all have really lost the plot regarding NJZ and Hybe's legal battle. On the 7th of March, NJZ and Hybe had their first trial where the girls accused Hybe of mistreatment and sabotage, while Hybe says this is not true and claim that they've been nothing but supportive of NJZ and that them rebranding and physically removing themselves from Adore is unlawful due to contractual obligations, which ultimately the court agreed with. But where some netizens have lost the plot throughout this trial is putting their prime focus on NJZ and having selective amnesia for Hybe's wrongdoings and Enhypen's manipulation. One of the claims that I've seen NJZ get a lot of flack for is the whole quote-unquote ignoring situation, in which Hani alleged that the members of I-Lit were told to ignore her by their manager. Mind you, she didn't even name I-Lit, and B-Lit told on themselves by responding to her statement when she said this at the National Assembly. And when DMs showed Hani and Enhypen discussing what had happened, Hani was obviously having a hard time thinking about what I-Lit's manager said at that point in time, seeing as she's not a native Korean speaker, and Enhypen was just trying to connect the dots with her, and that's where the phrase ignore her originated. And yes, at the end of that convo Hani did say that the situation was funny and wasn't that deep in the moment. But some people are acting as if she couldn't have reflected on the whole thing and not come to the conclusion that it's possible that's what the manager said. And then there's the whole CCTV footage that Adore provided to disprove Hani's claims, and it did the exact opposite. The video showed the I-Lit members greeting only Danielle with Hani nowhere to be found. Then moving on with the sabotage of NewJeans. They were kinda right on that one, seeing as Hybe was allegedly going to put the girls' careers on hold just because Enhypen tried to stage a coup over Adore. The icing on the cake was when they told the members the reasoning behind this decision was so they can get a Grammy-winning producer to work with the members for their next album. I don't see why a 1.5-year hiatus is necessary for that when Sserafim, for example, were still promoting while Hybe was working to get them a collaboration with Grammy-winning producer Nile Rodgers for their next comeback. Now I have to be fair and look at the other side's point of view and why I'm not fully sold on the rest of NJZ's claims of mistreatment and sabotage. Two of the other allegations were centering Sserafim and how Hybe has been prioritizing them over NJZ. According to NJZ, they were promised to debut first as Hybe's first girl group, but it ended up going to Sserafim. When Enhypen was still working with Source Music, she managed to poach the NewJeans members and some other trainees to be under her own subsidiary. Obviously this would delay the girls' debut plans because Hybe needed to give Enhypen time to recruit staff so Adore can run efficiently. There's also the claim that Hybe gave an ambassadorship opportunity to Sserafim that was originally for NJZ, I assume. The reason I say that is because they weren't exactly clear during the case, but NJZ felt it was odd that Sserafim managed to get that deal without their knowledge. But the thing is, why would Hybe tell them this? It literally has nothing to do with them. From the way they make it sounds like all the subsidiaries are supposed to ask for each other's input before making any type of decision. Hybe made it clear that's not how they run things over there, because if that was the case, Adore would need to ask Big Hit for permission due to BTS having an ambassadorship with the same brand as well. To sum this all up, there are some discrepancies coming from both sides, but I've seen one get more vitriol than the other, and that's NJZ. I know a lot of creators want to hold the members accountable for their own inconsistencies, but there's a way to do it without sounding like a Hybe stan. It's also giving a little bias because instead of talking about Hybe and the dog they have in this fight, it's completely left out as if NJZ are the sole issue, when in reality, the ringleader of all this mess is Enhypen. She's the one that wanted to fully take over Adore. She's the one who made claims that got I-Lit and Sserafim backlash. She's the one who's been warping these girls' minds since they were trainees and successfully made them her minions under Hybe and their parents' watch. And guess where she is in all of this? Nowhere. Just playing puppet master behind the scenes while NJZ do her dirty work while potentially damaging their reputations. The next opinion is, JYP thought they were playing chess but KG was playing checkers. Earlier this month, we got our first official update from KG and the progression with her case against JYP, and I was so happy to see that she won her first trial against them for attempting to put this in arbitration court, which is where a non-governmental body resolves disputes outside of the traditional court system. That means it's handled with no judge, no jury, and outside a courtroom, and all the evidence and testimonies that take place are kept under lock and key and can't be released to the public. JYP knew what they were trying to do, because not only would this shield them from public scrutiny, but this case could have easily gone in their favor, as most arbitration cases often side with the company due to many factors. But I'm glad that the court ruled against this motion, and all the terrible secrets JYP desperately doesn't want out will finally come to light. The next one is, The Sserafim boycott is stupid. Some Fear Nots announced that they were going to boycott Sserafim's recent comeback because of Sakura's lack of presence on the Hot album and music video. And the reason I think this is asinine is because 1. Most Fear Nots weren't going to boycott this comeback because Sakura had expressed wanting it to chart very well on Billboard. And 2. The reason why Sakura isn't present on this album is because Hybe wants to limit the backlash she receives on her singing capabilities. The girl made it very clear that she doesn't intend to improve on her skills and Hybe is just doing damage control at this point. Like what else can they do if not limit the amount of lines she gets? My next opinion is, Azealia Banks wasn't in the wrong. A few days after Lisa came out with Alter Ego, a Twitter user for some unbeknownst reason decided to ask Azealia Banks whether she liked Lisa's album or not. Azealia responded by saying that she doesn't listen to K-pop. And if you know Azealia, you know that's the nicest answer she could have given. But for Blinks and Lilies, it wasn't good enough. They then started dragging Azealia and called her xenophobic for quote-unquote assuming that the album would be categorized as K-pop just because she's Asian. Which had me completely confused because though Miss Banks may not know much about K-pop, she obviously knows enough to identify Lisa as what she's known for. A K-pop idol, who's in the biggest K-pop girl group in the world, who also happens to have a solo in Korean. Next opinion is, Jennie and aespa aren't the terrible performers people want them to be. Jennie and aespa are currently on tour promoting their most recent releases. And as clips from their concerts hit the internet, a lot of netizens have been criticizing their performance skills. Fans have complained about Jennie's lack of stamina and not singing live all the way through her shows. For aespa, their problems are that they don't put a lot of energy into their performances and they don't really interact with the crowd as much. In defense of both Jennie and aespa, these are very isolated incidents and not the whole of their stints on tour. During Jennie's stages, she sings live most of the time, but she tends to let the backtrack take over when she performs her very dance-heavy tracks. But whenever there's a breakdown or a part she has to sing or rap, she does it. And yes, her low stamina is very apparent when watching her perform. And I get it has been an ongoing problem, but when watching the clips, Jennie is obviously still giving her all and when there's a chance for her to slow down, she takes it and continues on with a quickness. But the way people are describing it, they make it seem like she just stops on the middle of the stage and does nothing until she's ready to perform. And if you watch the clips, that's definitely not the case. With aespa, I've seen a bunch of videos where they had been lacking in the areas I previously mentioned, but I've seen more videos of them giving their all and the crowd having a blast. The girls were interacting with the crowd, executing their choreographies very well, and exuding decent stage presence. I just think aespa has issues with consistency, which is something that needs to be worked on because you can't be giving half-ass performances when hundreds upon thousands of people are pouring a lot of money into your pockets. The next one is, everybody failed Kim sae-ron. Last month we unfortunately lost a beautiful soul, Kim sae-ron. She was a K-drama actor who starred in projects like The Man from Nowhere and Bloodhounds. She was found unresponsive in her home by her friend, and the coroner's report stated that she sadly took her own life. A couple weeks later, a South Korean YouTube channel that goes by the Gerasero Research Institute posted an interview with a very close family friend exposing sae-ron's alleged relationship with actor Kim Soo-hyun while she was a minor. After the messages and pictures were put on blast, sae-ron's family demanded an apology from Soo-hyun and claims that he was a major factor in why she did what she did. And though that is true, her family aren't really in a place to shift blame on others. If you do your research on Kim sae-ron and her life, the poor girl never stood a chance. She came from a mother who had mental health problems. She's been making money for her family through acting since the age of 9. She was psychologically manipulated by an upcoming actor with a lot of privilege and influence, was judged and ridiculed for her problems with alcohol and her drunk driving scandal, and when the company she was under said they would pay for the damages, they never followed through. Kim sae-ron has been through so much in just 24 years of life, and it's so heartbreaking that it culminated in a very tragic way. I give nothing but love and respect towards the people who truly cared about her and hope they find peace during this difficult time. My next opinion is, Adele needs to stop clout chasing off Manon. Some cat's eye editors have been using Adele's new song Machine Girl to recount Manon's Dream Academy experience on TikTok with Adele reposting them. And quite frankly, I find this a little strange. Adele and Manon may be cool with no real animosity towards each other, but to use her song to tell Manon's story feels kinda odd considering everything Adele has said and done. I don't know whether I'm overreacting or not, but personally, I would never use someone's image to promote myself if I didn't really like or care for them. nor would I use a song by somebody who has thrown subliminals at my fave countless times due to bitterness and jealousy just for an edit. And my final opinion is, 5th gen is incredibly uninteresting. I don't know if it's just me that feels this way, but a lot of these 5th generation groups aren't giving what they're supposed to give. They're either carbon copies of their predecessors or just oversaturating the market by sticking to sounds and concepts that are trendy. This isn't really the idols' fault, nor is it their problem. It's the companies. It's like all of them don't realize to really make a dent in this industry, you have to do something fresh or at least give consumers something they haven't seen in a while. That's why 4th gen groups like Itzy, aespa, and NewJeans are so popular. They hopped on the scene with a unique look and music style that set a certain precedent in K-pop like the generations before them. So for right now, I'm going to let this generation marinate and give me something to actually look forward to. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell me your opinions in the comments. Thanks again and have a great one y'all.